Hi, this is Keiko from Brooklyn Shoe Space for Shoe Talks Quarantine Edition today. I am inviting Andrew of AE Makatir. He's also based in New York. I feel so bad that I haven't actually seen him or met him in person all these years that we've been here. Today I'm in Brooklyn. I'm really happy to meet him virtually. Let's see. Hi, Jerry. Thank you for joining us. Andrew joined us. I'm going to add him. Aw. Hello. Oh,
Hello.
you're sideways.
Yeah, I've never
Yes,
done this
that's.
before,
Oh,
so
yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Hi. Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Um, Virtually. How's everything going? I mean, it's been lockdown's been 3, 4 months now. 4 months actually, going on to
hmm
fifth. How are you? Has anything changed?
Not a whole lot on my end. So my setup is in the building where I live, so it hasn't affected me too much in that, I don't have to go anywhere in general, and I don't have to take the subway, and it affected some of my suppliers. So I had a couple over in England, and of course they shut down, and there was, no getting anything out of there. And yeah, I got my bike all dusted off, and any errands that I had to run, I was riding around. So
Yeah. Well, then you're in good shape. Well, so did the vendors open up?
yeah,
Uh,
most of them have at this point. Yeah,
at
yeah.
this point.
England, the one in England has opened up again, and there were a couple in Ohio that Ohio was on lockdown for a little while. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad it's, you know, semi back to normal in a way.
Mhm.
Um, So let us know, like, tell us how you started. Your Instagram says bags and like luggage,
Mhm.
but you also make shoes. How did you get into leather crafts and then specifically shoes? What's your journey? Like, where did you start? How did you learn?
So way back, I guess the first pair of shoes that I made were a pair of moccasins,
Uh-huh.
and they were made out of smoked tan deer skin with
Uh-huh.
sinew stitching instead of thread, and
Wow.
yeah, that was years ago, but that was my first pair of shoes. I was doing a lot of camping, and I wanted a nice pair of moccasins, so. But I used to do antiques restoration, and I used to work with a lot of oddball materials, so like ivory and glass and
Mm-hmm.
metal and wood, obviously. So
Uh-huh.
I had a background with that, and then got into furniture making.
Uh-huh.
And I was working for a furniture maker that made campaign furniture.
Oh, what's that? What's that?
It's like a
What's like
safari
campaign?
furniture. It's like think of like
Okay.
explorers with like the knockdown stuff, and it's got like canvas slings and leather straps holding it together.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay.
So I was working for a fellow that made that, Richard Reitman. He's in Long
Mm-hmm.
Island City,
Mm-hmm.
and he let me play around with some of the materials, like the canvas and leather, and I started making some bags, started making some belts,
Uh-huh.
and it just kind of went from there.
Uh-huh. And then moccasins, though. When was that? How long ago?
That was like in oh gosh, probably 2000, 2003, 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Do you
long time ago.
do you still wear it?
No, no, no. They're
No.
put away somewhere, but they were just like, straight up like center seam, like leather folded in half, and yeah, they weren't really good for
Yeah.
anything other than walking around in the woods.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you did wear it for the camp that you were making it
hmm
for. Very cool. And then, well, so do you feel like, would you say you're self-taught with your craft, with your bags and leather goods?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah, yeah. I had to like when I first started, I was working with a contractor that used to let me hang out while they were like making some of the stuff. So they were like canvas bags that had leather parts that were like hand sewn onto them. So I
Mm.
would have them do the canvas work, and then anything that took like a lot of skill on a sewing machine, because I was scared to death of the sewing machine when I first started. It just went way too fast, and I had pedal control and all of
Uh-huh.
that. And, I used to just turn the crank by hand, do each stitch before I got the hang of it.
Uh-huh.
But, they let me hang out at their studio and, watch them while they worked. And they'd been working for years. They had like old school skills, like
Yeah.
really. And
Yeah.
so, just by watching them and then seeing how they worked
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of like taking little steps bit by bit,
Yeah.
I learned how to do it on my own. And a lot of it was kind of like when I got set up for myself, I didn't
Which
have
was
any.
when ish, sorry. Which
That
when?
was like 2013,
Uh-huh.
14.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I needed some people to help me out that had sewing skills and all that. I had some orders and I was interviewing people, but nobody had the skills that I needed. And meanwhile, the orders just were like, kind of piling up. So I was like, well,
Wow.
I just have to do this. And so, it kind of forced me to, to do it. And the results were like, okay, but, I managed to get them out, managed to get the orders fulfilled on time and, just continued from there.
Wow. And so when did you make that switch from working on in woodwork as well as all of vintage and that to leather? Like how did you make that transition full time?
So I was working for this furniture maker and he was very supportive of what I was doing. And he started letting me use the studio after hours. And so I would be like working for him from like, 9 until 5 thereabouts. And then afterwards I would like work on my own thing from like 5 until like, 1, 2 o'clock.
Wow. Wow.
And yeah, there's a lot of
Long
a lot of
hours.
yeah, late night, bus rides back to my place and then start over the next day.
Uh-huh.
And so I did that for a while. And then let's see. I got a big enough order that I wasn't able to work for him full time, and he said it was fine if I just worked on my own thing, and so I started renting out space from him. And it was kind of like it was a little bit of a weird adjustment because first I was like, first I was working on his stuff and working alongside my coworkers and all of that on his stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm there, but like I'm working on my own thing, and then and then pretty soon, yeah, it was just kind of natural. I was like working there on my own thing, and then the space in my building opened up in
Mm.
the basement. The
Mm.
previous super had been living here, and so the owner of the building was like super supportive of what I was doing as well. So he offered me his position and offered me the space that he had been living in. So I moved from Richard's space, my old space there, into this space, and I had to kind of like gut it a little bit because it was all divided into rooms.
Yeah. Oh, because he was living there before. I see. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So I had to put in fluorescent lighting. I had to pour
Right.
new concrete in the floor in a few
Wow.
places. I had to
Wow.
tear down a bunch of walls, and
Uh-huh. You're like being a contractor right there. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and all the while I was still filling orders. I was like working up in my kitchen on the
Wow.
leather work while I was
Uh-huh.
doing the renovations down
Uh-huh.
here.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and so gradually, bit by bit, I would like take over more space in the basement. I'd knock down a wall and then I'd expand into the next area, put in some new lights, fix the floors,
Wow.
and it's just been
Wow.
slow. Yeah, it's just been a kind of gradual kind of development.
And now you have a whole space. You
Yes,
use the whole
yes.
space.
I
Like,
have the whole basement now.
very cool. We would love to come check it out. Like, do you think you can give us a little bit of a tour? I don't know if the Wi-Fi will, you know,
I can
let
try.
allow.
Let's give it a shot. So right
But
now,
you also make it sound so easy about getting orders. I'll go back to that question.
okay. I was sitting at the machine I probably use the most. That's a
Yeah,
Juki walking
yeah,
foot.
uh-huh.
I have the lightweight, computerized Juki,
Nice.
and I have a serger, also by Juki.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, at the end, I've got a column machine,
Yeah.
or what is it rather,
What cylinder
cylinder
arm?
post machine.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've got some layout tables.
Uh-huh.
I closed out one of my leather distributors. Like they'd been in business since the 30s, and
Uh-huh.
they were just closing up shop. And so
Oh,
I got their clicker, I got a bunch of their work tables, I got their
wow.
steel shelving. It's just where
Wow.
I keep tools. Those
Yeah.
were a bunch of
Yeah.
sleds I made.
Oh,
Um,
is the leather supply guy the M&G? Not M&G.
RNG.
RNG, RNG. Yes,
Exactly.
I
Oh, you know them.
love them. Of course.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love them. It was so sad when they left.
I know.
Mm,
But yeah, more
wow.
shelving, leather stock,
Yeah, yeah.
canvas.
Uh-huh.
I've got edging
Yeah.
machine,
Uh-huh.
grinder,
Uh-huh.
gluing machine.
Do you kind of bring it out as you use it?
Exactly. This is the
Nice.
table that I work at the most.
Uh-huh.
It's got my cutting table there. It's got a
Uh-huh.
little outlet up there that I use.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, shipping supplies,
Yeah.
printer,
Yeah.
bring everything out as I use it.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Drill press,
Yeah.
skiver,
Uh-huh.
leather
Skyver?
scrap.
Skyver, like,
Oh, just a little guy.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, just a little
Wow.
hand
I have,
skiver.
wow. Okay, cool. How does that one work? I haven't seen that one. Is that
What
like
you
you just, uh-huh.
Yeah, what you do is you select the thickness over here,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and that's like adjustable. It
Uh-huh.
indicates how much,
Ooh, yeah.
and then you set it. You
Yeah.
turn the knob, and then that
To
locks
tighten
it
it.
in
Yeah.
exactly. And then you just pull it on through. From
Wow.
this side, and it comes out. It splits it, pretty
Oh, it
well.
split like a splitter. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Do you use it for a lot of different thicknesses or mostly like thicker items?
I use it on my thicker items. I use it on my belts mostly.
I see. I see. Makes
But
sense.
yeah, so this
Yeah.
is.
Wow.
I've got my kick press. I use that a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
for my toolboxes. Uh,
Awesome.
my
Awesome. Last.
lasts.
Yeah.
This was the
Wow.
first last I made, hand
Uh-huh.
carved.
Oh, wow. Wow. Did you translate kind of like your woodworking skills in there? Oh,
Exactly.
does that almost looks like a ballet? What's the style of shoe did
It's
you make for the first pair of lasts?
it was like a straight last. It was just kind of like a basic center seam loafer. So.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I remember that style that I saw on your Instagram.
hmm
Yeah.
So this is
Very
the
cool.
area that I've expanded into. It's still kind of like under development, and then this goes out to the backyard.
You have a backyard?
Yeah,
Wow.
and this is the garden I just planted. So
Wow, this is so nice.
sage and thyme and rosemary,
Oh, is
basil.
this backyard all to yourself?
hmm
Wow, that is so nice.
Squash.
That's like oasis in the city, isn't it?
It's very
Oh,
nice, yeah. And
yeah. Oh, so
so
that's
yeah,
your workshop. That's nice.
that's the tour.
Yeah. And you don't have a finisher like a sander, but you have like a light one.
Just that,
Yeah,
yeah, just
just
that
that
little
little
small
one.
one. I don't have like
Hmm.
one of those like heavy duty like
Big ones.
Landis or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. Wow, wow.
So,
Do you have a lot of hand tools? What
I
what's
do
what's the
actually.
tool that you cherish most or
Probably,
equipment? Hmm.
they're not very fancy. It's those are the tools that I probably use the most.
Hmm.
Just a knife and an awl.
Uh-huh. The knife is interesting. Is it foldable? No.
No, nope. It's
No, it's just a shape.
just a crank handle utility
Uh-huh.
knife.
Uh-huh.
But I have you know a decent selection of punches, rougher.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got some oval punches for
Yeah.
belt buckles,
Yeah.
bassinet, rivet set, square, a couple of pairs of scissors, another knife,
Yeah.
compass.
Yeah.
Um, what is it? Draw gauge. Then over
Very cool.
here,
You're super organized.
yeah, I try and
Yeah.
keep it that way. Things
Yeah.
can get kind of crazy in a shop, as you know.
Yeah.
So,
The
yeah.
hammers. Do you have a lasting plier?
Yes. Right over there,
Oh,
that
right
guy.
there. Yeah, yeah, those guys. Yeah. Oh, very cool.
hmm
Super cool. So, so you started with bags. You made a prototype, and you wearing them, testing them? Is that how you got orders initially? Like
Uh,
you're saying,
yeah.
like, oh, I got so many orders, that you had to kind of catch up to it. It sounds fantastic.
It was really kind of like kind of straightforward, I guess. Kind of, I just walked into some stores and went to the counter and I was like, "Excuse me, who do I talk to? Who's in charge of what gets sold here?" And they're kind of like, "Oh, well, I guess you could talk to me." And I was like, "Well, I have these bags and
I
I
made
pulled it
them.
out, yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and these belts that I made and yeah, and there was some interest. I got some meetings as a result of that. Showed some of the other oddball things that I'd made. Like I did a bit of knife making. I brought some knives. I brought this
Wow.
belt that had a pouch that fit a pocket knife, and that was kind of popular for a little
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
And let's see, yeah, these the duffel bags. They were like a naval duffel bag, basically, just a cylinder with a
Mm-hmm.
drawstring top.
Mm-hmm. With canvas.
Hmm.
Yes. Wow, very cool. And then how did you expand to shoes, footwear? That's like a totally different world, I feel like. I mean, it's accessories, but it's not so easy to get into. So I'm curious. I see that you had interest from like the moccasins and yeah. How did you get into footwear?
I guess I've always been interested in shoes, like
Mm-hmm.
the history and like traditions associated with them, like the technique assembling them, and there's just like a lot of I mean, shoes. The development of shoes is like it goes hand in hand with the development of civilization, really,
Yeah,
and
right, right. Especially
it's
in Americas, I guess. If
hmm
right, yeah.
yeah, and there's like there's just like yeah, they've really got a just every country has, come up with a solution to footwear in their, unique way and, influenced one another. And so, yeah, I'm interested in the history of it, interested in the technology behind it, the technique, and it's very kind of like, traditionally, it just seems like it's a very therapeutic way of working, just working on a shoe that's like strapped to your thigh and, hand sewing, a welt or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you learn from somebody? Did you have a mentor for footwear? Or
I do a lot of my learning from books.
uh-huh.
I haven't I had people that I was watching with the you know leather making and the canvas work and all of that. So it's just kind of like taking those lessons and trying to apply them, and then trial and error. But yeah, there's a lot of literature out there. There are a lot of videos up on YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's yeah, even just from like a historical perspective, like a lot of the times these they're degraded, and so you can see the construction that goes into them.
Yeah. What's the first style that you did after the moccasins for your like for your collection in a way after the bags?
The first style was the center seam shoe, and that was
Mm-hmm.
like the first. That was like the first one that I made for a while. But I guess oh wait, no. The second style that I made was actually a slipper that was
Uh-huh.
based off of a Civil War pattern that I found in the Library
Mm.
of Congress.
Wow.
And yeah,
Wow.
that's more how I got it into the shoe making, more
Yeah,
as
the
a
slippers.
thing.
I think I saw it looks like kind of like mock what's it called? Smoking slippers, you call it?
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
or like a
Okay.
North African
No,
barbouche or something like
Baruch.
that.
Yeah. 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 Uh,
So yeah,
So
they
you
were.
saw you found it in the library?
Uh,
Yeah.
mhm.
And then it's so interesting.
Yeah, it was a hospital slipper, basically.
Mm,
They were put
mm,
out in ladies' magazines in the during the Civil War, and women that wanted to help out with the the war effort, wanted to help wounded soldiers.
mhm,
They would sew these slippers from the pattern, and then they would send them to the United States Sanitary Commission, and then they would in
mm,
turn be distributed in hospitals.
mm.
And so yeah, it was just like a one size slipper, and very very basic. And I was taking a trip in Sweden for the summer. It was like a camping trip, and I wanted a nice pair of slippers to wear around the campsite and everything. And so I made this pattern and out of wool and some deer skin. And I was working with a company, and they were like looking to, make some new products, and they asked if I had any ideas. And so I was like, well, how about this? I had some wool felt left over from a run of toboggan cushions that they'd asked me to make.
Oh, wow.
And so I was
Uh-huh.
thinking about, what can I do with this wool felt? I have so much of it now.
Yeah.
And I had the leather, and yeah, I was making these toolboxes, and they were like a really thick leather. And so I used some of the thick scrap for the soles. I used some of the thinner leather for the uppers, and then I,
Hmm.
put wool felt in between for comfort.
Hmm.
And yeah, they were kind of a hit. They ended up
Yeah.
getting a bit of press, and
Uh-huh.
they were the head of the company. He was super skeptical of them to start with, and he was like, how do I know that people are going to? He'd ordered 100 pairs, and
Oh, wow.
I it was like one of the larger early orders that I got. And he didn't know if they were all going to sell. He was like, how do I know that people aren't going to order these things and they're going to wear out and then they're going to be demanding their money back? And I was like, well, I'll give them a try myself. And so I wore them for like 3 months straight here in the city, just
Uh-huh.
exclusively. And
Uh-huh. Wow.
and they
And
they
it wore really well.
yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
give out.
Wow, that's amazing. And the 100 pairs you made all by yourself?
Yes,
Wow. And what was the lead time?
that took. Um, it's kind of hard to. Because I closed out RG Leather right around that time, and that was when I
Yeah.
got their clicker press. So in the middle of this order for 100 pairs of slippers, I was also, moving all of the tables out and moving that clicker press up to another studio that I have up in Connecticut, and getting the power for that and getting a phase converter and everything. So I think that probably took me like 2 months or something like that. It was like for their holiday order, basically.
Wow, wow. So I'm fascinated by make production actually because I think, as makers, when you make quantity, you do, I mean, yes, bespoke is one way, of
Mm,
course, but then when you make the quantity, you do make more margin, maybe. But when you make everything yourself, sometimes that's not really the case. But
yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to hear like how you did it. I guess you just did it. Long
Yeah,
days, or
I powered through it. Yeah, it was.
did did you ever have help?
I've had help at different points. I've had friends coming in and helping me out with some of my production.
Mm,
I have dyes made whenever I can. And that always helps when I don't have to cut everything out by hand.
yeah.
And then I got the gluing machine, which definitely, I don't have to glue everything by hand, which, so whenever I can, I get equipment that will help me out. And I had people coming in that I'd worked with before. I knew the
Mm.
quality of their work was good, and I had a good rapport with them. So, I was able to get through everything. But when I can, I try and do I try and do everything that I can do on my own.
Yeah, yeah. I It makes sense.
Mhm.
And then after that first pair of slippers, do you still offer it right now?
The slippers?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's like it's your classic style.
It has been, and I've been, yeah. As of late, I've been selling a lot of house shoes.
Yes, yes. Have you been adding more styles? And how often have you been adding your styles?
Uh, well, I mean, I guess that's the downside to doing everything myself is it makes it difficult to add more styles. I offer a fair amount of different items, and so I do have to make everything, to order. But I'd probably add a new item every month or every 2 months or something like that. I've just been working on some new styles of shoes lately, some canvas shoes.
Ooh, that's
Um,
exciting.
yeah, yeah, I've been wearing them, straight, to see how they perform,
Where?
and
Hmm.
Yeah. So far they've been, pretty good, pretty comfortable, and pretty happy with them. So I'm going to be putting those up on the website soon.
Soon. Oh, very cool.
Mhm.
Is there any sneak peek? No, not yet.
Um,
Wait for Instagram, maybe. Yeah,
I
we'll
can show
wait.
you. I can show
Are
you
you
what I was
wearing?
working on
Yeah,
just yesterday, or
oh,
still.
cool. Are you wearing those shoes now?
Yes, actually.
Ooh, sneak peek. Oh, I saw that on your Instagram. Cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
there are those.
That's
And these are something that I'm
ooh.
working on right now. It's like a DOP kit,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's just I made this one, and I was using it. Been pretty happy with it, and so I'm developing it further, and I'm making a canvas and leather version of it, and possibly like
beautiful.
a larger style. Thank you.
Wow.
So this is going to have leather piping all around the edge, so it'll be totally
Wow.
covered, and
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Beautiful. So this is like your prototype phase in a way?
exactly.
Mm-mm-mm. Where do you get your inspiration from? Is it mostly like the history, the books, and um, not history books, but where do you get your inspiration from?
I get inspiration from like museums
Mm,
sometimes, architecture, just like architectural details, and let's see, a lot of I guess a lot of like nautical type
yeah,
situations. I really enjoy boats in the water, and
right.
you know, so I'll say so technical details from boats and all sorts of
Yeah.
different things.
Did you grow up in the Northeast by any chance?
I
Is
did,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. And then like your love of camping, and now I'm like seeing like the nature and the forest, and like yeah, now it's all coming together. Yeah, you have a style that's pretty distinct. What's your favorite shoes that you've made so far for your line? Which one's your favorite?
So far, it's these loafers that I made. I'm really been, you know, I started offering those like last September, and those have been pretty popular. Yeah, I don't have the only pair I have of my own right now is the first pair I made, and those are the black ones, and yeah, I like those a lot. I want to develop that style a little bit more, just kind of tweak some of the details.
Hmm.
I'd like to make a pair of loafers, but like with a horse bit,
What
but
what's horse?
like the Gucci horse bit loafers,
Oh, okay, okay,
you
okay.
know the ones.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay.
There's
Wow.
a ancient, like it's a Bronze Age Irish, like a Celtic horse bit that I saw in
Mm.
like a museum of Ireland that I'd like to copy. So it'd be like super old school detail.
Yeah. Wow, wow, wow. Very cool. And how about the lasts? Do you develop your own last
Yeah,
or?
I get lasts, like just ready-made lasts, and then I just with hand tools and my sander, I'll just carve them down until I come up with a shape that I like. Work on the toe box and like the heel and the sides, and because the ones that you get are usually they're pretty. I mean, they're pretty basic, they're pretty straightforward, but they're a good place to start.
Yeah. Wow. So do you feel like your carpentry and all the skills also come in handy as well?
They do, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I still do a fair amount of woodworking, and work with a lot of
Right.
hand tools. And
Yeah.
some of the things that I offer, they have like metal elements, like
Oh.
brass, and
Do you
I.
do you make the hardware too?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I do a fair amount of metal work. It's like kind of a hobby of mine still.
Wow.
Used to do a bit of knife making,
Yeah,
and
you said that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, haven't
Wow.
been doing it so much, but
Do you have any knives that you use? Oh, you showed me a knife, but it wasn't a knife that you
yeah,
made.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a standard utility knife. I don't know if I have any. If I do, yeah, I don't think
No,
don't think I have any out.
it's okay.
Do you have a style of like bags that you have made a hardware for?
Um, no, no. Oh, wait. I did. I made a, portfolio like a while back, and that used to be up on my website, and it had a piece of hardware that I'd made the first one out of aluminum. I cut it out with a jeweler's saw, and then I took it to a casting place that I worked with,
Yeah,
and they cast it for me in bronze. So.
that's very cool. Very cool. Would you do more of that? Like kind of combining all your skills into, I mean, I guess then the price of the product is gonna go up.
Exactly, exactly. That's the thing. You're always kind of like dealing with. There's like a price point that you kind of have to that you have to adhere to.
Yeah. What's your shoes price point?
I can't see myself paying more than $400 for a pair of shoes, so I try and keep it under 400.
Yeah.
So it's generally I'm kind of like developing things with myself as a customer in mind.
Yeah. And also as a maker in mind, so you're like, okay, has to be, I don't know, what's the process that you like of making?
I like getting the lines right on a thing. If I'm
Hmm.
trying to find that's kind of the trickiest thing is finding something that looks right for me.
Hmm.
So form is
Form.
the most important thing, and getting something that doesn't look kind of clumsy, doesn't looks practical and functional, and it would just catch your eye if it were just sitting on its own somewhere.
Hmm.
So.
Very cool. So prototyping in a way, like you like that to getting that line. Do you enjoy the pattern making part?
I do, yeah. Yeah, that's like a big part of it. I've got like, boxes and boxes full of things that like, got to a certain point, and then I saw like, well, no, it needs a quarter inch over here. I need to take away an eighth of an inch there, and this is just, this doesn't quite work, and this over here, it's stretching the stitching in a weird way, and so.
Mm, 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 mm. How many prototypes, say, would you make for your shoes? I'm curious. Before you feel like, okay, I can wear test this.
For me, it usually takes about two or three prototypes.
Hmm. Very cool, very cool. And then how many pairs do you work at a time when you do production, for example, for your, say, loafers? I saw like a bunch on an Instagram post,
Hmm.
and I like how left and right was different colors, you
That's
know?
right. Yeah,
Like
the
it's like,
mismatch loafer.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
How did you work on that? Like how, again, it's production. It's like,
mhm.
yeah, you,
Well, I did all my cutting at once, all my skiving at once. Just assembly. Try and do as many of one process at a time as you can, and it saves you time in the long run.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah,
Were they all for like one client or is it,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it
That
was.
was for a company 18 East, and
Oh.
yeah, they had seen my stuff over at a shop in Asbury Park, Patria,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that was like yeah, that was like they'd seen some toolboxes and seen some leather bowls, and yeah, they had stopped by the studio and they had a look. They saw the loafers, and they had the idea of doing the mismatched leathers there.
Very, very cool. So you do work with like the clients, like input as well. And yeah, very cool. Wait, so somebody, the custom surgery asked, is it only leather you work with? No, he also uses canvas.
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm answering that for you.
Canvas, metal, and
Mm-hmm.
wood are what I
Mm-hmm.
generally work with, and in addition to the leather.
And very cool. And do you work on your own?
Yes.
Yes. And then who do you sell to?
I sell to, a lot of little stores, like smaller boutiques. I have a couple of like larger clients. Probably the biggest company I work with is the Conran shop, and They're over in London, and you know, they have a store in Tokyo, and they just opened one in Korea,
Hmm.
and yeah, and
Yeah.
just was working with what is it? Guide Boat. You know, they got a bunch of toolboxes, some tool rolls.
Hmm. Hmm. Very cool, very cool. And how about the shoes? So yeah, going back to how many pairs do you work on at a time? Is it so basically it's made to order? So
Hmm.
if somebody orders, say a store orders, say 10 pairs, you'll work on 10 pairs.
Exactly.
Hmm. And then if it's from your website and it's one pair at a time, do you just work on one pair at a time, or do you kind of batch it into little like production style?
Yeah, if I just get an order for one, then you know, I make one pair, but I'll try and you know, I'll try and batch it as much as I can.
Right.
That works best with you know, if nothing else, then I do, you know, all brown things at one time, so I don't have to change the thread color on my sewing machine.
Right, right. It makes sense. So somebody says, "Hi Andrew, Brian Z here. How
Ah,
about the clothing you make? Any new developments? You make clothing as well."
yes, yeah. The last thing I made was I made a wool duffel coat. I had
Hmm. Oh, I saw that. It's
yeah,
cute.
yeah. I had this brown one that I got years ago, and it was getting kind of threadbare. So so yeah, I made another one and changed the pattern. I made it a lot larger so it fit me better, and I used some wool tartan fabric that was left over from a you know, a big collaboration that I did with the company Freeman Sporting Club and
Hmm.
Dewar's Whiskey.
Oh, nice. That was nice. Are you gonna sell them on your website as well, or is it gonna be just for you?
That one so far is just for me. I've gotten some inquiries about it, but then it comes into, you know, I mean, I can do I enjoy doing patterns, and you know, it's easy for to do a pattern for myself because I'm like, you know, constantly available, and you know, I can
Yeah.
figure out like what feels right and everything like that. That would just I'm apprehensive about it because I think it might open up Pandora's box in a way.
Right? About size grading and then kind of
Hmm.
ready to wear versus is it gonna be custom made for somebody?
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
that coat, I made everything on that. You know, even the toggles, like they were, you
Mm.
know, hand carved out of
Wow.
oak. So
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So how, so the same person asked, how is business during Corona?
it's slowed down a little bit. But the thing that's picked up were the house shoes. A lot of
Hmm.
people staying at home, and so they, you know, they need
Yeah.
slippers to wear, and
Yeah.
so and then little things like the leather bowls. People like to have, you know, things
Home
to
goods.
exactly. So home goods and slippers.
Do you have a motto or mantra you work by or live by?
Um, I guess make it as durable as possible. You know, and try and understand it by doing it myself, maybe like 100 times. So,
You really like to make.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. What's your favorite material to work with out of all the materials that you work with?
uh, probably the leather. I enjoy it. It's very forgiving, very malleable, and yeah, you can do so much with it.
Do you have a favorite tannery or favorite like type of leather?
I work a lot with the veg tan leather, and so that's probably my favorite one to work with. I don't have a specific tannery that I work with for that, but a tannery that I do like is Sedgwick. Sedgwick and
Mm,
Sons over in England. They make a really high quality product. I use
mm.
that for my belts.
Oh, very cool. For your belts, do you make the hardware yourself?
On one of them, yeah, I do some cast bronze buckles.
Very cool. Very cool. Super cool. If you had all the resources available to you. Like no worries about life. What shoes or bags would you make and for who?
Uh, the first pair of, and I'm actually going to be getting around to it pretty soon, were a pair of boots that I saw in a book when I was really little. It was called Frozen in Time, and it
Yeah,
was about
yeah.
this failed expedition to the Arctic in the 1840s, and they found a pair of these old boots, and they have a very interesting way that they were constructed, and
Oh,
yeah. I'm not gonna reveal too much, but this is gonna be upcoming. It's so yeah, I want to
ooh.
make a pair of those.
So first for yourself, you prototype it, wear test it, and
Hmm.
then sneak peek, get a response,
Exactly,
and kind of
exactly.
build the little what's anticipation.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Will you do anything differently once this pandemic settles?
Uh, I'll probably be, reaching out a bit more, just getting out and trying to collaborate more and work. I'd like to find some companies that kind of have a similar vision. Over the years, I've worked with several different companies that they're usually on the smaller side, and they have the same kind of like imagination and interest in coming up with something new, and that's always
Mm-hmm.
a really fun is working with like-minded companies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool, very cool. And for those companies in the past, did they find you or did you find them?
They usually found me. That's probably the thing. I don't really put myself out too much as far as like going out and trying to drum up business and all of that. So it's been pretty organic in that companies will find me and then I'll work with them on something. But
Hmm.
no.
Yeah, yeah. Um, any advice for anyone out there who wants to start their own shoe or bag or accessories collection? Like,
Yeah, learn as much as you can and be able to do it as much as you can on your own because using subcontractors can be very it can be very expensive and it can be difficult to nail it on the head when you want to get something just so, and it's it's better if you can do as much as you can
from
to
start to finish, basically,
exactly, because you'll
basically.
understand the process better, and when you finally do work with a company, you'll be able to explain to them better what it is that you want,
That
how
you're
you want
looking
it
for.
done, and yeah.
Hmm. Do you ever work with, have you ever worked with the bag factories in the city? Like, the bag, there's not that many shoe factories left in the States, basically.
Yeah.
But there are bag accessories factories left in the garment district even. So I just was wondering if you've ever worked with anybody.
Hmm.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've worked with Park Avenue Trimming. Back before I had a clicker, like I used
Mm.
to
Hmm.
take some of my leather over to them, and
Wow.
they would let me cut out some of my pieces there,
Uh-huh.
and some of my trim, like I would bring them, either hides or I would bring them, bags of scrap that was left over from cutting parts, and they would make trim out of that for me.
Nice. Nice, nice. That's cool. That's a good collaboration in that way.
Hmm.
Where do you want to be in like 3 to 5 years, even 10 years?
I'd like to be set up with a retail space, probably where you have an actual, retail space slash shop floor where you can see things being made. And I always liked the idea of it used to be what I don't know, Abercrombie and Fitch or Louis Vuitton used to be, where it was like, if you wanted to, you could walk in off the street and really you could really work with the company to come up with something that nobody else could offer. So
Mm,
just being able to have a full service shop and making not only the bags and the shoes, but also the hardware and the locks
Mm-hmm.
and,
Mm-hmm.
the things that were like,
I didn't know Abercrombie and Fitch did that, but yeah, I
oh yeah,
understand. I didn't know that. But I
yeah.
think I can imagine like your world being like this special world. Yeah, almost like I mean, I don't know if you want to be associated with anybody, but in my mind, it's like a Wes Anderson movie a little bit. Like you have this like character and like your retail and like everything is just immaculate and like set like to your tone. Yeah.
A place for
I think
everything and
so.
everything in its place.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Would you hire apprentices or like would you do you, I'm not sure about like your like you have all this knowledge and the skills. Would you pass down your not information, knowledge and the skills to somebody?
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've, yeah, I'd be happy to take on apprentices. The only downside of it is that it's such a variety of things that I offer. It can be a little bit scattered sometimes. Like, sometimes it would be, working on, one type of thing. Other times it would be like, doing a big run of something else. So that's the thing that I've always kind of like, had a difficult time finding the balance between like, having steady large orders or a lot of little small orders. So,
Right, right. I feel like that's the fun of it, that you do everything. Because,
hmm
if sometimes there's say college kids that reach out asking about shoe design, shoemaking,
hmm
and they're geared towards the shoes, versus somebody versatile might be somebody, I don't know. You definitely wouldn't want to have some sort of contract so they won't just like, learn everything and go and start, and just walk off. But
well, that's
I guess
kind of yeah, that's kind of like well, that's I think that's kind of the dream, though, is you learn skills somewhere. I mean, it used to the whole like journeyman apprentice system. It used to
yeah,
be it was a contract, and you had to work for
certain
a
amount of
master
time.
for a certain amount of years, yeah, and then you
Yeah.
had to go off and you had to travel around and find other people and learn different ways of
Hmm.
doing a thing, and so that you would become truly a master of your craft, like not
I
only.
love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Not only what were you gonna say? Sorry, I didn't mean to
Well,
cut you.
not only from, the techniques of one fellow that you learn from, but also, seeking out like other people so you can learn how to do things differently and create like an amalgamation of your, of techniques and styles and really, I mean, it used to be you could tell like the influence of any kind of like civilization, archaeologically by the different artifacts, the way that they were made, and little decorations, and the decorations get fainter and fainter as it gets farther away from the capital of whatever
Right,
place it
right,
started.
right, right. Do you feel like you would want to go and learn from somebody? Do you have somebody in particular that you're like, I would like to go and learn this from this person? Say footwear or even bags or something from your craft.
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. I've always kind of I've always just enjoyed learning it on my own, I guess. And anything. It would be interesting going to Florence. Say they have like a really
Yeah,
long tradition with leather work and bags and really fine leather working and all of that. So putting a little bit of research into that and finding some place and apprenticing there for a couple of months or maybe a year or two would be really appealing.
yeah. Do you ever like face any like block or questions on a technique that you're like, what do you do? And do you solve them yourself or do you have somebody you can ask questions to?
I'll hit a wall every now and again. I'll come up with like a thing, or I'll see a thing, and it'll kind of like inspire me to think, oh, I could make something like this, but I could do it like that, and I'll have it batting around in my head for a little while, some kind of an idea, and I just become like absolutely convinced, like, oh, it's gonna work and it's gonna be awesome. And then I'll think about it for a while, and then I'll sit down, I'll do some sketches, and I'll think, yeah, this is really gonna be great. And then I actually
Hmm.
start making prototypes, just mock-ups in, the
Yeah,
junky leather, or,
yeah,
the ugly canvas colors that I have sitting around. And
yeah.
then I'll do it for a little while, and then it just won't work out the way I anticipated.
Huh.
It'll just look clumsy, or it just won't function the way I like, and I'll just kind of go at it for a little while longer, and then eventually sometimes I'll just give up, and I just
Mm.
and I just have to kind of put it aside for a little while. Like the canvas shoes, for example, I started on those like maybe this time last year, or maybe a little bit earlier, and yeah, and I was getting nowhere, and I just stopped working on them for a little while, and then other things came in between. I started making some leather shoes, and then I made the loafers, and then I kind of like I had some new patterns that I could build off of, because
Mm.
the more work you do, the more things that you work on. Just because they don't work at the time, it doesn't mean that it's a complete dead end. It just gives you something that you can pick up later,
Later.
and yeah.
So you
So
have a box that says like unfinished, but it's like for later. Yeah, kind of
yeah, I'm looking at it. It's a big overflowing box full of, like, yeah, it's
ideas.
yeah, I think it'll just, yeah, they're just things that didn't. I mean, you can kind of see the beginnings of things that actually went somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah.
So so
Are you
just keep working, really.
right? Very cool. Are you on Facebook? Like what's it called? Shoemakers Forum at all?
I'm not on Facebook at
No,
all.
you're not.
Yeah, Instagram is about the only thing that I have.
Hmm. Just kind of putting it out there that there is like this forum. I don't know if you've heard of it, but that it's shoemakers put questions out there, and
Mm,
there's like makers and other people kind of chime in to be like, how about this, what about this, what is, there's, it's not like a solid being like this is how you have to do it, but like it's more like I have this issue with this, what or like even somebody who found something on eBay is like, I think this is a shoemaking tool, what is it, does anybody know? And there's like all these
hmm.
people from all over the world kind of chime in. So I thought maybe it'll be an interesting resource in that sense that it's not like a formal school, or like a, you
It's
know,
it's it's just a meeting place for people to discuss.
right. And there's a lot of historians in there. And so I just thought maybe, but I guess if you don't have an account, you're like, no.
Well, I'll check it out, but I'll probably have to fill in that those random letters to be able to see it.
Oh, right. You're right. Well,
The CAPTCHA. I'll have to do
yeah,
the CAPTCHA to have a look at it.
yeah, possible. Yeah. I guess you have to create like a ghost account or something
Mm.
like that, no, which you're not interested in doing, I know. But that's so cool. Yeah, so did I already ask about what your favorite style is? Do you have some styles in your shop that you can kind of like visually show,
Hmm.
or do they kind of leave your space? You don't have any samples?
Yeah. I mean, I've just got the loafers. Did I
Mm.
showed them before.
Oh,
Uh, so so this is
sorry.
this is kind of what I have
Ooh.
available right now. So these are sandals that are based off of a French army sandal from the 50s. And I generally find that I like really utilitarian styles.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
either, camping outdoor goods,
Mm-hmm.
militaria.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like, because they represent like each country's like unique
Yeah.
solution to an everyday
Yeah.
problem, and they
Right.
also had to they got rigorously tested, and they had to
Yes.
get by all sorts of like, you
Right.
know,
Right.
so that these are some loafers
That's
that I made
beautiful.
with a yeah, with a tassel. And
Uh-huh. The tassel's interesting too. It's woven.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually I made a little tool for that.
Oh,
I made this
to make a tool for the tassel?
yeah,
To make, wow.
I made
Oh, very
my
cool.
I made a little steel punch
Uh-huh.
just to cut that out.
Oh,
And
very cool.
yeah, and
Very
then oh yeah,
cool.
and that had the I cast those
Oh,
soles.
wow.
Yeah,
Soles are cast, and do you do it yourself as well?
I did. I
Wow,
made
you pour the rubber?
yes, yeah. They
Wow.
were very, very stiff to start with. Very
Uh-huh.
hard,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
a little bit on the slippery side. But I was
Uh-huh.
like, I'm just going to wear these until they break in. And I was wearing them, and they were just really stiff. And then finally, they started to break in, and I was like, oh, good, they're finally starting to feel good. And then I look at the bottom, and they've just broken in half. So
Right, right,
far
right.
too
So
stiff.
did you have to figure out the consistency of the content?
It's yeah, it was a two part
Ooh, I love it. That
chemically activated raw rubber, and that was yeah,
wow,
that
you
was
figured it
like
out. That's really cool. And that gray loafer almost looked like the what's that? Patrick Cox, is it? A similar the gray loafer that was right next to it. It might have not been gray. The one
this
next to the
one.
one. Yeah, that one. I like it. It's like penny loafer, but
Yep.
it's not, right? It's yeah.
Yeah, that was this was the first one, the
Oh
first version
wow.
of the
Oh, the
loafer. So
one
this
that
was
you were wearing. Yeah, your
exactly.
wear test one. I love it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And so there's that one, and
And
then
then the
these
slippers.
guys over here.
Yeah, not the slippers.
Yeah.
You call it yeah. Ooh, so is this also your sole that you
No,
make?
no, no, no.
This is not.
This is a Ridgeway sole.
Oh,
I get these from England, and
wow.
they were difficult to get during the pandemic. So
Mm, mm, mm. Very cool. I guess you have reasons to use those as opposed to ones that's available in the States, yeah?
yeah, yeah. What I like about this one is the tread doesn't go all the way to the
So
edge.
edge.
So what I can do is I can stitch down, and then the stitching is protected, so
Yeah.
it won't wear through.
Do
So
you
yeah,
hand stitch these?
I do, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow. That's
and I tie
fantastic.
a knot in every stitch as well,
Right,
so
right.
it's
Yeah,
very time
very sturdy.
consuming.
Yeah, very, yes. Wow. So Carolyn McKenzie says, "You're making me feel better about some of my ideas and attempts." It's amazing. I think you're a true maker, and like, you really love the process, and you really love like the journey of each and every product. So I really admire that. And like you have your whole world, it's like totally like you can not, yeah, you can see it. So it's really cool. Yeah, thank you for showing me us, the space that you work out of and your work, and telling us a little bit about, how you create new things. It's great.
Yeah, of
Thank you
course.
so much. I'm looking forward to the boots that you're gonna work on one day, and then the shoes that you're wearing, it might come out sooner. So
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah, and one day I would love to meet you in person.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking your time today.
All right, well, hey, thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah. All right, bye.
Bye.